not competing in Iowa? Why are you here?
We're here because we have a debate tonight. We're here because we're excited about introducing ourselves to the people of Iowa. We're here because we're going to win this race.
Why not compete in Iowa? Is it something about this state?
Nothing about this state. You have limited resources. You have to apply those resources where you can get the best return on that investment. And we're focused laser-like on 3 of the early primary states, and I think that's a strategy that's going to serve us well.
You've yet to sort of break out from this pack. How do you do that?
Well, as soon as people start paying attention to this race, after 2 or 3 debates, after your name goes up in terms of recognition, these are the dog days of summer. And I can think of people who have succeeded in the presidency before who were right about 4 or 5% of the polls at this point in the cycle. So I like where we are.
Do you think the Republican Party wants to nominate someone with your background, your credentials, your moderate views?
Oh, I think absolutely. They want a conservative problem solver. They want somebody who cut taxes historically in his state. They want somebody who was the record job creator in this entire nation when I was governor. They want somebody who's going to expand the economy and focus laser-like on jobs. We desperately need it. We're a blue sky people in America. We want solutions. We want to look to the future and see how we're going to get out of this deep economic hole we're in. We did it in Utah. We've got a track record that we can point to. We're not talking about it theoretically. We're not talking about it based on a book we wrote. We're doing it based upon our experience as a governor.
I spend most of my time in Washington covering the White House, and clearly there's a lot of talk about the debt ceiling debate and other things. But even in our own polls, more people, especially out in Iowa and other parts of the country, they're concerned about jobs. What are you specifically going to do in terms of helping to create more jobs?
Well, we've got to have an environment that speaks to job creation, just like we did in the state of Utah. We've got to reform our dilapidated, anachronistic tax code. You've got to lower the rate, you've got to broaden the base, and you can do it in a revenue-neutral fashion by phasing out loopholes and deductions and biases. Then you've got to look at regulatory reform. We've got to get the regulatory monkey off our back. Business folks have to be able to look to the future in a predictable fashion. They have to know what lies around the bend, and with Obamacare and with other regulations in the way, it is not doable, and therefore people aren't deploying capital expenditures. They're not hiring folks. They don't know what the future is going to look like.
If you had an example of someone you met who is jobless, who would that be, and what did they tell you, and what did you recommend to them?
Well, I was in Berlin, New Hampshire a while ago, and I ran across a lovely young lady whose husband was a meat cutter, out of a job. She was selling beads there at an ethnic parade, and hoping that at some point those hollowed out carcasses of the last industrial revolution might be filled again with workers. They're empty, and we need to fill them again with workers. And the only way we're going to fill them again with workers is to create a truly competitive environment that is done through tax reform, getting the regulatory monkey off our back, and moving toward things like energy independence.
With all due respect, I'm not clear how then that differentiates you from some of the other messages that the other Republicans in the field are preaching. I mean, what's different then about you than them?
We've been there and done that. No one else has done in their state or in the Senate what we did in the state of Utah. We became the #1 job creator because we brought about historic tax reform. We brought about the most business-friendly environment in the entire state, or in the entire country, pardon me. We were the #1 best managed state in America. So we bring a lot of this to the table, plus some foreign policy experience. This is a complex, confusing world in which we live, and it's not going to become any less so. And I think it's going to be important to have a commander-in-chief who understands the vagaries of this world.
Governor Perry would argue he has a pretty good jobs record in Texas.
Indeed he does. But I think people are also going to want somebody who's been in the private sector, somebody who understands the fragility of the free market, having been there. And I think people are also going to want someone who understands the world. This, again, is a difficult, complicated, and confusing set of circumstances. I've lived overseas 4 times. I've managed 2 embassies overseas. I've been involved in the foreign policy mix, and these are all issues I think that are going to be very important to the people of this country.
If you had one word to describe what you're running as, what would it be?
Problem solver.
Your campaign has been recently trying to tie Governor Romney to President Obama, but aren't you more closely aligned with President Obama since you worked for him?
Well, I serve my country, of course. If you love your country, you're going to serve your country. Doesn't mean you resign your party affiliation. It doesn't mean you change your worldview. It means when asked, you step up and you help your country. I've always believed in that, and I'll take that philosophy to my grave.
What do you think about the fact that someone like Michelle Bachmann may win the Iowa straw poll, is has attracted an enormous amount of attention. Do you think that she's the right answer for the Republican Party?
Well, she's compelling and she's hardworking, and she's embraced a lot of issues around fiscal responsibility that people feel very, very passionately about. So it's no surprise to me that she's done well in Iowa, may do well beyond.
Why are you a better candidate than she is?
Well, I've been a governor of a state that actually has fixed an economy, that actually has brought about record job growth. I've been in the private sector. I've been out in the world. I think those are three things that I think are truly material in this election cycle.
And then let me ask you, so finally, what's your goal for tonight?
Goal for tonight is to introduce myself to the people of Iowa and indeed to the people of this country. This is a marathon, and let's just say we're beginning the early phases of the marathon, which is maybe the stretching even before the race begins. We always kind of front load these things and forget that, they play out more toward the end. We've got months to go, so I think this will be a great opportunity to introduce ourselves, let people see who we are. I'm running on my record. I'm not running from my record. I am who I am. I'm running on my record. I think it's a record that a lot of people are going to like.
Any particular food you want to try here at the Iowa State Fair? Would you eat fried butter on a stick?
I think I'd take a bite, but I think I'm more for the pork chop on a stick. I'm a traditionalist around here.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
You're a fan of a pork chop on a stick?
Having been here once before as a governor, I want to find that pork chop on a stick.
Okay, I saw it. It's actually, the stand is over there.
Well, you can take me.
Very well. Well, thank you.
I appreciate that.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We may just sort of, walk with you. Between the debt ceiling, when Boehner called off the talks, he was mad. He came in the briefing room. It's been really an interesting time to cover the White House.
Boy, it's an uncertain, unsettling time in our nation right now, all the way around. Are you covering the news for those who are trying to find solutions for the American people who are watching it all play out? It's a very unsettling time.
And what would you say about that? People who feel really unsettled about the state of the economy.
They're angry, they're unsettled, but the one thing they are now that I don't think they were before, they're frightened. They're frightened because their most important assets have had a haircut of 25 years.
Is that Obama's fault?
No, it's where we are. The run-up in debt over the last 2.5 years has been a record run-up in debt. We're now sitting at $14.3 trillion with more to go.
But Bush contributed $6 trillion to that.
We didn't get to 10 all by itself. This has taken both parties. Let's be clear about that. But the president has also had 2.5 years to breathe the sense of confidence into our direction and to look at things like regulatory reform, getting the red tape and uncertainty out of the marketplace. And he hasn't done that. So that's the most important issue confronting us right now, reviving the economy.
Do you think the president has been reassuring to Americans who are worried about the S&P downgrade, what's happened in the market? I mean, people's 401ks have been decimated.
Of course they have. Of course they have. You want to get a president out from behind the teleprompter. Speak from the heart. Speak from the soul. Tell people where you want this country to go. Call Congress back to session. Get them off vacation. Get solutions on the table to speak to longer-term confidence in this economy. We need it now. We can't wait.
Do you think the Republican Party is going to vote this year with its head or with its heart? It seems like the Republican Party really wants someone who's going to really offer a stark contrast with President Obama, who's going to be really tough on President Obama.
They want somebody with solutions. I think they're going to want somebody with a track record, somebody who can attack the economy and create jobs. I think that, let's quit looking back. We've made mistakes. Everybody's made mistakes in the past. Let's look to the future. We're a blue sky people. We're Americans traditionally look at their set of circumstances, find a way out, find fixes and solutions, and that's where we are today. They want fixes and solutions. I'm not sure they want to be divided anymore. Being this divided is not a natural place for Americans. We're not a people who work well divided. We come together during times of need, we find solutions, and we go forward.
That's the same message that the president's talking about, though.
But there's been nothing done in terms of reviving the economy.
So what would you do different? I mean, what is he not doing that's not bringing people together?
Tax reform, regulatory reform,
he
energy
tried to
independence.
get tax reform with Speaker Boehner.
Nothing done. You use a bully pulpit, put specifics on paper, take it to Congress. He's had 2.5 years to get it done. The problem is he didn't do it early on in his administration. Anyone who's been governor or president will tell you you've got about 2.5 years in which to get it done. Then the door closes and you miss that opportunity. So it's a missed opportunity. And now we're going to have to wait for 2012 to get it done. And it will get done.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Good to see you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.